We appreciate you staying with us on the program. Let's get you right over to Kano, where our guest, Dr. Yauza Getso, who is a security, intelligence, and investigation expert, is joining us to look at efforts that have been made by the government under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu in the area of fighting off insecurity and all forms of criminality. Dr. Getzel, thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
All right, great.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, a pleasure. So my colleague and I, Quinn, will be interacting with you for the next 25 minutes. But let's begin by, first of all, establishing the situation on the ground as of when President Tinubu took over on the 29th of May last year, which is virtually a year ago. And today, is it the same? Are we doing worse or are we doing better ultimately?
Well, I think first of all, what Nigerians need to do is to do a quick reflection and look at the back, what really was the situation. Because the then government, before the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there are 7 things that made it very difficult for any Nigerian or anybody who is analyzing the situation to know that government is really doing anything in respect to the security challenges. One, there are serious competition between the security agencies, between the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy, and to some extent, issues around even the common police and the mobile police officers. So it's kind of very highly competitive. They were not they were not struggling. Then second, the leadership then of the security agencies were kind of working like between the cat and the rat. So no, Nigerians are not really getting anything. Number 3, there were no feedback on daily basis or any mechanism for the Nigerian citizens to know that something is going on. Number 4, there were a lot of vandalism of pipelines and other things. And number 5, there was no push, even though we have been saying that all the criminals who have been terrorizing the northwestern part of the country and north central, as well as even the northeastern part of the country, are known. But there was no organized push in order to squash them. Number 6, there are difficulties in getting information from the sources because the government did not create an enabling environment where Nigerian citizens can easily get those information and tap it and utilize it. And number 6, which is the final, the kind of the listening ears. Before the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, the government wasn't having kind of listening ears because Nigerians were crying and nobody was listening to them and nobody was attending to them. You can report a lot of distress calls, but yet you cannot have a feedback. But when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into power, everything changes. One, he made it very difficult warning. He sent a warning to all the security agencies then under the Farouk, Erabo, and others that he really wants them to go back and reorganize themselves. He will not want and tolerate a competitive situation. And number 2, he opened his ears to listen to Nigerians and continue to attend to make kind of policies. And number 4, he tries as much as possible to identify Minister Badaru Abubakar from Jigawa. Everybody knows that Governor Badaru, the Minister Badaru Abubakar, who was then the governor of Jigawa State, have done so much in terms of managing security situation for 8 years. There was only one time when issues came in Jigawa State, despite the fact that their neighborhood was Bauchi, which was vulnerable. Their neighborhood was Katsina. Their neighborhood was some areas, some part of even Plateau to some extent. So by this, probably this is one of the reasons why he was picked as a senior minister, as the minister of defense, and he has been doing very well in terms of coordination, in terms of monitoring, in terms of supervision, in terms of effort to deliver the mandate as expected by the minister. And then We can see how General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, who has been working very well in terms of coordinating the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, and Nigerian Navy. If you see the activities of the Nigerian Air Force now, you can say that almost Nigeria is having the best strategy in dealing with the situation of the security challenges. So, in a nutshell, we can say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration have started very well, and they are growing. They are making progress by day. You know, something that has happened for quite a long time. You don't expect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in even his 4 years to be able to restore the situation. But having eyes and ears and every day doing something and every day providing feedback and every day listening and every day improving the mechanism of coordination. What is happening now, the DGSS Malan Yusuf Bichi, the Inspector General of Police are really doing very well in terms of intelligence monitoring, in terms of intelligence gathering. They may not be able to deliver 100% within 1 year, but as far as I'm concerned, they are making progress. They are far, far better than the past administration that wasted 8 years without a result.
Interesting. I mean, your narrative there quite incisive. But I'd like us to look at something. Let's also know that the UNIDOP agenda is, on the one hand, anchored on security of lives and property. You talked about how that, for example, there's interagency rivalry, whether it's amongst the military or even between the police formation. I mean, the regular police, the mobile police, and so on and so forth. Is it not the place of leadership, in this instance case, President Bola Tinubu, to ensure that there's interagency collaboration as against a rivalry? Who is supposed to provide that leadership?
You know, having the formation is different and having the leadership is different. Of course, the first administration have not really worked towards addressing that. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, they have what they call interagency coordination meeting. This interagency coordination meeting is providing a kind of an enabling environment for everybody to come together and for them to have interaction on the leadership and understand the challenges. And they are being able to talk to one another, and they are listening to also the opinion of other stakeholders in holders in academia and commentators and analysts. You know, you don't close your ears and expect things to work well. So as far as I'm concerned, the yes, of course, the government's supposed to provide the leadership, and that is why I told you that the Minister of Defense, Malam Badr Abakar, and the other co-leaders of all the agencies, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, they are all working together to provide the expected leadership mechanism. That is why we have a kind of a new system entirely from bottom to top and from top to bottom. There is improvement in all the security agencies in terms of leadership quality, in terms of leadership delivery, and in terms of the supervision by the ministers of defense, senior minister and the junior minister, as well as the Minister of Police Affairs, the DGSSS, the Inspector General of Police, and the Office of the Secretary Government of the federal government, as well as all the coordinating bodies. There is huge improvement that has been made within the President Bola Tinubu administration, that I can tell you that they are far, far better. In fact, I can rate them 65 to 70% in terms of performance, whereas I can rate the other administration that left, which is the President Muhammad Buhari administration, less than 10% compared to the progress so far made by the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration.
Okay, so I'm just going to follow up with this. You know, when we had former President Muhammad Buhari in office, whom you referred to just a while ago, we had a situation at a point where there was this very vehement call, which was long drawn out, for him to sack service chiefs. Of course, he eventually did that, and Nigerians said nothing much had changed. Are we going to get to a point where it also become an issue of change security chiefs, sack the NSA, rejig security architecture, and so on and so forth?
Well, I don't think that is quite always the right thing. When you have the right service chiefs, when you have the right national security advisor, when you have the right ministers of defense, when you have the right inspector general of police and the right DGNA and all the security heads, you don't need changing them. All you need is to maintain the status quo in terms of monitoring, in terms of coordinating, in terms of a kind of reviewing and assessment, in terms of assessing their performance and their ability to deliver. And then you also assess the results being coming out as the input and the output. So you always look at the conduct SWOT analysis.
Okay, sir. Let's take a look at insurgencies, Boko Haram
You
insurgencies.
look at the weakness. This is the way. This is the way for. This is the way that you will be able to understand what's really the mechanism. And then you also look at down at the operations level. You check what has been happening with the. You can see the number of Boko Haram that has been kind of withdrawing. A lot of intelligence is coming out. A lot of recently, even army was able to kind of rescue many of the families of the Boko Haram, and many of them have surrendered, as well as even the these guys in the northwestern part of the country. Yes, of course, like I mentioned, that you cannot address it, but they are making progress. When you look at the progress we are making, when you look at the improvement in terms of coordination, the synergy among the security agencies, and even the working relationship, the strengthened capacity of the military as well as the non-military personnel in terms of improving civil and security agencies collaboration and partnership. And when you look at the participation and active and improve even the civil society organizations, the civil military engagement, as well as many other engagements, the media mobilization, the media mobilization, and even the responses from the social media, you can see it is very clear that really President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration are really making progress. And with time, they need more support from Nigerians, because the security personnel with arms and ammunition as well as other equipment cannot be able to handle the security without the collaboration, partnership, and understanding and working relationship and improve synergy between the security agencies and the public. So as far as I'm concerned, the traditional institutions, the religious institutions are really coming up and doing up and doing in terms of providing adequate, making clarion calls, advocating for all the community members and other stakeholders to play their own role so that the security agencies can be able to deliver their mandate.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's look at the progress of combating Boko Haram and insurgencies, particularly in Nigeria. Now let's compare administrations compared to the former administration and President Bola Tinubu's administration. Would you say that enough progress has been made comparing both administrations so far?
Well, actually, you can say that the reality on ground, if you look at the number of people that have been rescued by the present administration, and you look at also the performance and the incapacitation of the Boko Haram capacities, you compare and contrast the number of attacks, you compare and contrast the number of freedom, you compare and contrast the number of communities and local governments that have been have gone back to their communities where they were, and also you see the economic improvement and the social improvement, as well as even the educational status, the opening of more schools during this administration compared to the former administration. You can see it very clear. Even a layman, an ordinary person that have not gone to school or have not been following up, can understand that really this administration have done better and is doing much and is also doing better. When you look at the clarion call being made by the National Security Advisor, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff, and the coordination capacity of the Minister of Defense, Malam Badr Abubakar, and his counterpart, Junior Minister, that is Bello Motoli, they are conducting a lot of advocacy visits to traditional institutions, to religious institutions, and also improving the civil military engagements, and also kind of conducting sensitization and building the capacity of even the social media operators so that they can be able to even go deep to study the situation and provide feedback to the community and feedback to everybody. So you can see the progress being made. The number of Boko Haram being surrendered is not the issue of surrendering. Yes, after surrendering, what is the result being tapped out of it? What are we gaining? What progress are we making? And how are there more attacks, or there is a huge reduce in terms of number of attacks, in terms of number of activities of the Boko Haram, in terms of how the military are onslaughtering the Boko Haram activities, in terms of capacity and of the personalities, operators of the Boko Haram. If you look at many of the senior members of the Boko Haram during President Bola Tinubu administration have been surrendering themselves and have been providing required intelligence, which the military and other security agencies are really utilizing, and we are commending them and we are encouraging them to do more. And as far as I'm concerned, if somebody can achieve what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu achieved in 1 year, then it means we will have hope that by the next 3 years, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to meet off, is going to rise to do more and better, because changing the service chief or changing whatever is not the best way. The operations mechanism, the result, the feedback, and the commitment, the synergy, the coordination, the supervision, the assessment, the monitoring, and the improved surveillance mechanism. There are a lot of cameras now being installed in many parts of Nigeria that are covering and providing the right information which the security agencies are using. All these are initiatives of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, which deserve to be commended.
I like that you said that a lot of cameras that are reporting, some security situations in some parts of the countries. This would lead me to
Yes.
ask about the investments and, technological investments that have been made to ensure that we have security. What investment has President Tinubu made, the administration of President Tinubu in terms of security, made as regards technology to bolster security in regions in Nigeria?
Well, I want to tell you that there are 7 items that have been achieved so far by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. One, installation of those cameras, which are functional between the Kaduna Abuja, between also the Kaduna Abuja by road, Kaduna Abuja by rail, Lagos Ibadan by rail, Lagos Ibadan by road. Almost they are working hard to to set those cameras in many parts of the northwestern part of the country and northeastern part of the country, as well as to some extent, these cameras are being installed in some parts of the south and southeast. All this is to improve mechanism in terms of monitoring. And you can understand that a lot of drones have also immediately after coming up of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Air Staff went as far as Turkey and many other parts, and a lot of technological investment have been made, and all those equipments and gadgets have been brought in country and they are being utilized. It is not everybody that everything that we will expose what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is doing in terms of technological investment, because the enemies are also re-strategizing and also making their own way to understand and kind of destroy some of those items. And these things are being placed in many strategic places. You can see even the recent mobilization and community mobilization, community sensitization, community-driven strategy being employed by Insom Wike, the Minister of the FCT, in terms of boosting the capacity of morale. Also, a lot of cameras have been installed in some areas around Buari, in some areas around Asokoro, in some areas around Kurudu, in some areas around Kuje, and to some extent the work is still in progress. In the FCT and the major cities will be targeted. That is Kano, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Abuja, and many others. I know there are a lot of plans in terms of boosting the capacity of morale, boosting the morale and the capacity of the security by improvising those items to ensure that we are making progress and a huge investment is being planned. Anybody who wants to see this can make reference to the budget submitted by the security agencies, the budget submitted by the Ministry of Defense, the budget submitted by the Nigerian police force, the budget submitted by the NIA, the budget submitted by the DSS, and all other the DIA, the Nigerian all other security agencies, the intelligence services. So go back and make reference to this to the budgets they have made. You can see technological investment and the focusing, because that will help. If we cannot quickly, because it's not easy to recruit and build the capacity and train and then send the human personnel. So, but at the same time, while government is making efforts to recruit more human personnel, at the same time, it is also making huge investment, technological investment, because that's the changes. And there is a lot of memorandum of understanding being signed with the other powers of the global powers to support Nigeria in terms of technological investment in dealing and managing the security situation in Nigeria by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration.
Thank you, sir. Just a while back, I was talking about the train that derailed off the rail in Kaduna, a village in Kaduna, Jare, to be precise. I gave an instance that it could only have been one of these faults, either technical faults or, some vandals must have toyed with the rails. As regards vandalism, because these projects are laudable projects, and these projects have also helped to somehow secure the lives of Nigerians, because we know of bandits on the road, and the train project is also very convenient for Nigerians. But we cannot continue to have these vandals destroy this rail, and then this journey short-lived, this journey of convenience using the train short-lived. How do we, or what is President Bola Tinubu, or how has President Bola Tinubu so far, what is he doing to ensure that this vandalism is nipped in the bud? Where or how do we go about this?
Well, the way we go about it, there are 4 items that need to be fixed. One, sustaining the monitoring tool that has been provided. 2, ensuring that the civil engagement is strengthened in terms of making sure that intelligence is not only the responsibility of the personnel, but rather the community-driven strategy, the community-driven intelligence monitoring, the community initiative and community collaboration and partnership to be strengthened along the line, the rail line, and then at the same time also revisit always the technological advancement we have in terms of generating intelligence, using the intelligence, and then the surveillance itself. And at the same time, number 4, to ensure that there is a sustainability monitoring and assessment every now and then. If it means that every train session between Kaduna and Abuja and Kaduna, morning session, afternoon session to be reviewed, evening session to be reviewed. So if you are making the review and you are making the analysis and you are also assessing yourself, you are conducting a SWOT analysis in the morning, in the evening, and in the afternoon, and you are getting feedback, and you are strengthening the capacity of the community vigilance, and you are improving the surveillance, at the same time improving and trying to sustain and improve the quality of the what do you call it, the surveillance system that have been set in place, the cameras itself, reviewing the cameras, and also fast tracking the capacity of those who are monitoring the cameras and rebuilding their capacity and improving the partnership and collaboration with other foreign intelligence as well as the local intelligence, the formal and non-formal intelligence sectors, to be working in more closely than what it may be. So this will help in sustaining the situation and improving the situation and reducing the capacity and also incapacitating the vandals. Because if those who have been found will be dealt with accordingly and decisively and timely, definitely there will be results based and we'll continue to make progress.
All right, great. So just to ask you the last question in 2 minutes. Recently, we heard that there was some contemplation for some foreign power to come establish a military base in Nigeria. Of course, we know the reaction that greeted that, well, experiment, as I'd like to call it, for the purpose of this conversation. Do you think, Dr. Gesso, that it's a great idea, at least one that would be of advantage to Nigeria, if a military base were to be established in this country, whether by the British authorities or by the US, given what has happened in the Niger Republic, our neighbor, recently?
Well, I am not in support of bringing in foreign machineries because we have very hardworking, very really dedicated. I believe in partnership in terms of building the capacity, training and retraining of our personnel. But I don't think bringing the foreign base, especially US base or French base or UK base, is going to be really good for Nigeria. And Nigeria is going to regret it as our neighbors also regret it. And I don't encourage that. And I hope the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, even if they are thinking of that, because I remember the Minister of Information have said that they don't have that plan and they are not interested and they are not willing to do that and they don't have anything to do with that. So even if they are interested, I'm discouraging them. That will not help Nigeria, and that will not will really give those foreign machineries an opportunity against Nigeria and against Nigerians' intelligence, and that will never be a kind of a positive way of making progress as far as I'm concerned as professional. So I quite disagree with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration if they're really interested in doing that. That is an area that I can say that that will be a very big mistake, and it will never, Nigeria will really regret it, either now or later.
Dr. Yauza Getso, security and intelligence expert, I'd like to say we appreciate you for spending a part of your Monday morning with us here on the program. We wish you the best of the day.
Thank you for having me, and all the best.
That's where we are taking a quick break, everyone. When we return, our second discussion, which focuses on the policy thrusts of this administration in the last 1 year, will be the front burner topic. Do stay with us.